There's a kind of loneliness that people rarely talk about. It's the loneliness of being in a relationship, but feeling emotionally alone. I mean, you may share the same home, you may be raising children together, you may, in fact, still love each other, but something inside the relationship, inside the marriage, if you're married, feels very distant. And over time, that emotional distance begins to affect everything in the relationship, including intimacy. If you've ever felt married but emotionally single, this conversation is for you. So, in this video, we're going to talk about emotional loneliness inside relationships, particularly marriage, how it develops, and why it affects intimacy in ways couples don't immediately understand. Most people assume loneliness happens when someone is not there. Like no one is there, no one is present. So, hey, I'm lonely. Make sense? Yeah. But emotional loneliness can exist even when someone is sitting right beside you, even when you're sleeping in the same bed with them every night in the same household. It happens when emotional connection slowly fades away, when conversations become very surface level, when curiosity about each other disappears, when both people are simply just functioning in the relationship, but are no longer truly connecting. And many couples experience this without even realizing that it's happening because nothing really dramatic occurred sometimes. Now, sometimes something dramatic may occur, but sometimes nothing dramatic really occurred. Life simply just became busy. Responsibilities increased, and emotional connection quietly moved into the background. It just took a back seat. Sometimes emotional disconnection is very subtle. It might look like sitting in the same room every single night, but feeling like or every conversation becomes about logistical things like the bills, the schedule, something with the kids, responsibilities, but very little about how either person is actually feeling or what's going on with your lives and on the inside. Over time, the relationship begins to feel more like managing life together than sharing this life and this experience together. That shift is what people mean when they talk about the emotional environment of a relationship. And emotional environments shape intimacy more than people realize. I've found it to be one of the biggest influences of intimacy in the relationship, that emotional environment. For many women, desire responds very strongly to emotional connection. When emotional connection fades away, her body often responds by pulling back from intimacy. And notice I said her body responds by pulling back from intimacy. So this isn't a punishment. This isn't a form of rejection, but it's actually a reflection of the emotional environment of the relationship. It's information for that emotional environment. Because when desire because when desire grows most naturally in environments where people feel emotionally safe and emotionally connected. And when that connection fades away, intimacy often changes as well. Some of the questions that led me to study relationships more deeply actually came from my own marriage. I've shared with most of you, and you know by now that I was married, I'm divorced. And at that time, I was simply trying to understand things that I didn't. Looking back now, I realized that And know that many couples experience emotional loneliness long before they're able to recognize what is actually happening. And when people finally name it, the conversation inside the relationship can actually begin to change. So, emotional loneliness doesn't mean or always have to mean that your relationship is broken. Sometimes it simply means connection has been neglected for too long. Like I said, this is information. So, the good news about this is that connection can be rebuilt, and you can begin to rebuild it through curiosity, through honest conversations with one another, through creating the space to reconnect again emotionally. So you're actually using that information that you gained to do something about it. So before we go, I want you to just sit with the question: where in my life or in my relationship do I want deeper connection than I currently have? Because when we become honest about that, real change can begin. Stay close. We're having real conversations here.